Chapter 5. Junior and Jamal at the grave of James and Janilla Johnson. Junior Johnson leaned against a lone shade tree, barking orders into a cell that would emulate the voice of Martin Luther King, Jr. 3 years ago, a parolee by the name of Reynaldo Henson obeyed the instructions of a cell phone that had been left in his mailbox. He delivered a wrapped package from point A to point B, not knowing what was inside the well-sheathed box. Had he opened the container, he would have found shredded newspaper, and he would have been deemed untrustworthy by the Johnsons. But Reynaldo delivered the parcel unopened, and for that he was awarded $200 and was inducted into a thriving criminal enterprise. Reynaldo had moved up the ladder. He now supervised 4 marijuana grow houses that each employed 2 people. Each employee was once a Harris County parolee. The employees at any given grow house would never meet the employees of any other grow houses, but they all reported to Reynaldo, whom they knew as Captain Kirk. Reynaldo micromanaged the work and sleep schedules, the soil, the lighting, the ventilation, the curtains, the generators, noise buffers, the ambiance. Every detail was tightly controlled by the well-trained manager, except for seeds and distribution. Reynaldo Henson ran twice weekly veracification tests on his subordinates, and he submitted to thrice weekly veracification tests performed by persons unknown to him. Junior Johnson was now supervising 6 grow house supervisors who oversaw 27 sites, a distribution network, an upstart escort service, a meth lab and corresponding distribution network, as well as a fledgling bookmaking service. He also served as acting director for Harris County Office of Community Supervision and sat on the Available Board of Directors. He also catered to Lafayette, who could be demanding even when she was not pregnant. It made for a busy schedule, but with greater Harris County law enforcement established, paralyzed by his family's previous aerial bio attacks and one concerted mail attack, the Johnsons were taking full advantage of the opportunities that materialized. For years, his father had made Junior's position a no-show job so that he could apply himself to weightier tasks. Each time there was a bio attack, Junior's worksite had been hit with benign powders, and each time he was able to finesse a 2-month vacation. But Junior had to put a scheduled leave of absence on hold when his father had a stroke. Junior currently filled his father's work shoes as acting director, an appointment solidified by the germ-soaked wedding invitation that claimed several of the white and Hispanic senior employees. There had been fatalities within the CS ranks, and other CS victims were sickened enough to make credible claims for disability. To cope with his ever-expanding workload, Junior Johnson had gotten a friendly doctor to write him a script for stimulants, and he was only sleeping 2 hours a night. Junior Johnson looked up to see Jamal's black Audi creep towards him. He sped up his phone instructions, and when his cousin pulled in next to him, he hit the kill switch. Jamal wasted no time in bounding out of the Audi. "Hey, cuz," Junior Johnson called out. "Did you bring the flowers?" "I forgot," Jamal said, and chuckled faintly. Neither man was related to James or Janilla Johnson, the occupants of the grave headed by the proud marble tombstone. But the deceased were buried in a black cemetery, and the site was conveniently located near a lone shade tree in a road that bordered the asphalt drive. The day was young, and the 2 men planned to head off for work after their meeting. Junior Johnson dressed in a conservative black suit with white shirt and a Houston Cougars scarlet tie. Jamal wore a long-sleeve, loose-fitting white shirt under a blue-gray floral vest with a wide, blended blue tie. After commenting on each other's style, Junior started the meeting. Junior reminded Jamal that with the family's rising fortunes, he would soon receive a significant pay raise. Jamal thanked his cousin profusely and turned the subject to Ulysses. Yes, they almost nabbed him a couple of days ago, but someone must have tipped him off. No one tipped him off, Junior retorted. 50 is smart. Ulysses is smart. I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all. But the way he slipped away and never returned home, Jamal did not finish the sentence. Junior nodded and brought up the family's expansion of bail services. The perfect segue for Jamal to broach a difficult subject. Jamal's older brother, Antoine Johnson, was chief counsel for the Sean Manion campaign. Sean Manion was the Democratic gubernatorial nominee in Mississippi. Antoine had been promised the state's attorney general position should Manion win. With Antoine acting as attorney general, Mississippi would become the Johnsons' playground. Bail bond franchises would be a fixture of every county, and the attorney general would squeeze the competition. And Mississippi hosted the second largest gambling industry in the world. The opportunities were boundless. But now Manion's election was in doubt. He polled well and head-to-head against the incumbent Republican, Morris Black. However, John Joseph's eclectic party was running its own candidate, Eva Marie Taffy. Mississippi law stipulated that if a gubernatorial candidate received less than 50% of the electoral vote, the state legislature would select the governor. Joseph and the eclectic party had spent millions to stealthily gain control of the Mississippi legislature. In a three-way race, Eva Marie Taffy would become Mississippi's next governor. Junior nodded and smiled ever so slightly. I like Eva Marie Taffy, even if she has fallen in with the wrong crowd. Jamal nodded. She's a good sister. She's a good sister, Junior repeated. Her politics ain't our politics, but she's a good sister. Jamal concurred. And it is morally wrong to ever hurt a sister, Junior continued. An abomination, Jamal stated. Could Manion beat Taffy in a match race? Jamal paused before answering. I think his chances would improve greatly if the other white candidate just happened to be brutally murdered in what could be construed as a racially motivated attack. Junior cackled. Nothing wrong with wasting a Republican. Like squashing a fly with your windshield, Jamal added. Good analogy. Only good Republican is a dead Republican. And the governor was tough on undocumented workers, wasn't he? He was. Some people perceived his actions as being racially motivated. We might just have some Salvadorians who are collecting dust. They might jump at the opportunity to sharpen their skills and earn a real payday. The two men laughed out loud, reviewed what was said, and then drove off their separate ways. Junior would give the order later that morning, but months later he would reconsider the overuse of cryptic messages and coded memoranda. And Junior Johnson would reconsider employing anyone he had not met in person. Had he talked to Veronica Sanchez, the community supervisor from whose caseload Ivan Guzman was recruited, he would have learned that he spoke with an impediment indicative of concussive brain damage. Had he actually spoken with Ivan Guzman, Junior Johnson would have learned that he had boxed as an amateur for 5 years and had fought a few professional fights, that his head had received 47 stitches from the batons of the San Antonio Police Department, that his skull had been brutally pummeled in prison with a nunchaku brilliantly fashioned out of plastic pipe, dental floss, toothpaste, chewing gum, and sand, and that he had spent time in a comatose state following a helmetless motorcycle accident, and that his memory of past events was vastly superior to his memory of current events. Had Junior Johnson talked to the people who knew him, he would have learned that Ivan Guzman's family had disowned him. He would have learned that his recruit had been shunned by old friends, and he had recently been leading a band of Salvadorian greenhorns who had failed miserably as gangsters in their homeland. And he might also learn of the consensus opinion that Ivan Guzman had smoked a little too much crack and had drunk much too much tequila. But mostly, Junior Johnson would question his own command of the Spanish language. How could a directive to kill Governor Black get misconstrued as an order to kill the black candidate for governor? He would revisit that matter for the rest of his life.